Right, welcome to Devolution magazine. I'm
Thank you.
George, and we have here with us today from Daath, we have Eyal Levi. Am I saying that right? Eyal?
Right enough,
Right
Eyal.
enough. That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're from the lauded progressive death metal band Daath, and you've emerged from a 13-year hiatus with a devastating new album, The Deceivers. It's it's a cracking album. Congratulations on it, man.
Thank you.
I've had it on it a lot this week. So
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, Deceivers has a heavily orchestrated sound. It's very big sounding, huge sounding record. And it says here this is largely there's a collaborator you have called Jesse Zaretti on orchestration, who's worked for Marvel of all people. How did that come about?
Jesse and I have been friends for like over a decade now. I produced his old band Binary Code back in like 2013, and we've just kind of been really, really close ever since then. And I've just watched him grow his career from just some dude in a band that wasn't really that was cool, but not really going where he was hoping that it would go, into someone that created this really, really incredible composition career. I mean, I watched him go from like Marvel, doing stuff with Netflix, Universal. Now he does stuff with Riot, has worked for all kinds of bands. And he's actually a huge Doth fan, has been for a long time. And when I was tinkering with the idea of restarting it, he was the one who was pushing me the hardest to do it. And even after I was you know, well into it, I wanted to stop it again for a reason I won't get into. And um he actually asked me if he could do an orchestration on one of the tracks that we were working on. He was like, before you quit, let me just try this, see how it goes. We'll go from there. And that was the song No Rest No End, which is the album opener. So he sent me back orchestration on it, and I was like, all right, doing this. Um, that song ended up changing a lot from that initial version, but still, like, his orchestration was very, very inspiring, because we have orchestration on the Hinderers. Like, we've always had synth and other instrumentation, but what you're hearing on this record is kind of what I've always wanted for the band. He's also a really sick guitar player, so it just kind of made sense to ask him to join. It was just very organic. We've just been such close friends forever. And he also has worked with my company, URM. He's uh done stuff with us. Like, it's just, we've just been very involved for over a decade. So it made sense.
That's incredible. And of course, you're backed up with the tight as hell rhythm section. Bassist David Marvuglio. Am I saying that right?
Marvuglio.
Yeah, there we
Marvuglio. Yeah.
go. And Krim, we're going to say on drums, from Septic Flesh and Decapitated, one of my favorite acts. Absolutely an incredible drummer. I've been aware of him for quite a while. I gather you say that he's one of your favorite drummers in metal, period.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that Krim, I was just talking about this the other day with my brother. Like, I think that Krim's one of the best ever to do it. Like, one of the best metal drummers walking the earth, and one of the best metal drummers in history. And I think he's perfect for what we do, because there are bands that are faster. There are bands that are more technical. There are also bands that are slower. We kind of just do our own thing, but there's like a lot of variety in what we do. We cover a lot of ground, and like, it's very, very compositionally oriented. And he's a very, very creative drummer. So he kind of like packs this combination, which is very, very, just very rare to find, where
Mm.
it's like you combine power, speed, groove, creativity, and feel, and then writing ability. It's just not
Full
common.
package.
And he loves the darker side of things. Like
Mm.
it would, so we just get along as people and musically. It just made sense. And also, it's really good that he's got Septic Flesh, because one of the things that I wanted with this new lineup was that everybody have something going on that's
Mm.
important, that outside the band, so that the band is free to do whatever we want. Is like we're not in a position where anyone can cause us to bend or hold anything over us, because we've all got something else going on. So
That's awesome.
it's very pure this way.
Yeah, yeah. He first came under my radar when I was watching his playthrough videos, drum playthrough videos, like he did Slipknot, like equally as well as Joe Jordison, just blazed it. Then he was doing like the Emperor stuff. I know he's depth for Behemoth in the past.
Yep.
Yeah, incredible, incredible drummer. Also on this album, you've got guest guitar solos scattered out throughout, and the guest list of this is absolutely incredible, really incredible. So Jeff Loomis, Mark
It's a
Holcomb from
pretty nuts guest list.
yeah, yeah, Dean Lamb, who I've obviously been seeing his videos a lot on YouTube, and Archspire, just an incredible band. So I mean, it just goes on and on and on. Mick Gordon, how did this incredible guest list come about?
So when we started writing the record, the lineup was not solidified yet. It was me, Sean, and Jesse, and we were like courting Krim. So we were like, he hadn't joined yet, but we were still working on an initial batch of songs. And you know, bands don't go on hiatus because things are good, right?
Mm,
Just like no happy band breaks up.
hmm,
No happy marriage ends in divorce. Like if a band goes on hiatus, it's because things weren't good. And
hmm,
I've had a lot of time to think about what are some of the things I don't want to repeat. And it took a while to find band members, and we
hmm,
didn't want to just jump in uh, with anybody. And so we decided that we're going to make the record no matter what, though. Like
hmm.
we're proceeding, like this is happening. We're not waiting until the perfect moment. We're just doing it. Um, and my network now is way bigger than it was back in the day. Like I know
Sure.
lots of people. We all know lots of people. We've all been around. We've got lots of friends, and it was as easy as just asking.
Yeah, right.
That's it. Like just a lot of these dudes are old school fans of the band, like Loomis.
Mm,
I mean, he almost joined the band at one point.
wow.
He's been a supporter since the old days.
What a
It
legend.
was not it. Yeah, dude, he's the best. Like it wasn't. It was. We're friends with all these people, so it was really just a text away.
Yeah, man. I mean, because there's three guitarists within the band, really. There's yourself, and then you got Rafael Trulio, and also,
Yep.
Jesse, who we mentioned before, is a guitarist too. So it's a real
Yep.
guitarist record, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a very guitar centric band. Um, uh, fun fact, I always wanted it to be a three guitar band.
Awesome.
Um, we just didn't know anyone back in the day who like could do it. And then also, man, like it's another mouth to feed.
Yeah.
And the way that we were touring back in the old days, like we couldn't have another person there. It
Mm,
was just not doable. But the music, even the older music, calls for three guitars.
yeah, man.
Um, and so it's always been a challenge to reduce it to two. Like
Mm,
there's always something missing. And yeah, you can put it in a backing track, which we've done, or put the orchestra in a backing track. But like, um, I've always wanted to have three guitars in the band. So the way that I write is very, very layered, and orchestral. Uh, even like if there would be no orchestra, the way that it's arranged is kind of the way that an orchestra is arranged. The way that it's written is kind of like that. And so just naturally with the way I write, there's gonna be like multiple guitar parts that work together. So it's it it just works, but that's kind of just been an organic thing. I think kind of like the way Periphery have three guitars or
Yeah.
Whitechapel have three guitars.
Mm.
And I don't think anyone thinks about it. It's just organic to how they
Yeah,
sound.
yeah. I mean, I obviously the first band that came under my radar that had three guitars was when Iron Maiden came back with three guitars, and then since then I've, like you
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
Periphery,
exactly.
and I've seen like Veil Attack and like, a few Whitechapel, as you say, and that three guitar thing, if it's done right, and you've got like three different lines going and layers, as you say, can be such a powerful thing live. It's just an incredible thing to witness.
Well, yeah,
So,
because like say you have like a harmony lead, right? So if you only have two guitars, you have to make a decision.
mm,
Either someone's not going to play the rhythm and then you're going to lose some of the power, or the harmony lead's not going to happen and then it's not going to sound as cool. So what do? And I remember like seeing I've seen some bands pull it off, like
mm.
Opeth, for instance, have been
Oh
able to
yeah.
pull it off to where they decide what how they're going to do it because they don't have three guitars live. But I've seen them change their arrangements at different shows, and it sounds some arrangements are better than others, obviously.
Mm.
And so that's the kind of I've always struggled with that idea of like, yeah, you can always make the best choice given your options, but sometimes the best choice is still not as good as you want it to be.
Yeah, sure.
And the only way to really do it is with three.
Mhm.
Um, it's just how many guitars it takes.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And I wish more bands did it because it sounds amazing live. Right. With an album this ambitious, like, because the scope of it is quite vast. And it reminds me a little bit of there seems to be like this wonderful trend at the moment because of lockdown and stuff like that, and people had longer to write. We've got bigger, more expansive records. For instance, Ishan's latest album, that with the
Oh yeah.
orchestral arrangements on that. I kind of like that was the closest thing I've heard this year to what you've done. And
Well, that's a huge compliment.
well, well, Ishan's like my favorite. So, but do you think this we're getting to the days now where because music has been so throwaway, the grand spectacle album is needed to bring those people back into a sort of album listening format? Do you think the grand spectacle album is an important thing to be doing right now?
Well, I think you've got kind of a convergence of factors happening. Um, One of them, and this is, in my opinion, a big one, is that it's now been over a decade that people have been able to record at home. Like my company URM, we're turning 10 next year officially, but I started doing stuff under Unstoppable Recording Machine in 2014. And the way that this relates is that we teach people how to mix and produce metal.
Mhm.
Taught by like the best people in the game with the best bands. And we've been doing that now, like I said, for 10 years.
Mm.
So, and uh, technology has been accessible outside of like huge studios now for like 15 years or so.
Absolutely.
So you have just a generation that grew up on stuff like what my company has provided with YouTube, with the ability to record themselves and no longer being bound by the super expensive studio system,
Sure.
um, has led to people being able to really pursue their creativity. And with the availability of information, again, like what we've provided, people have been able to get a lot better
Mm.
and uh, and take matters into their own hands. So, like for instance, Ishan, a good example, he taught himself how to orchestrate.
Mm.
That would have not happened back in the day.
No.
Uh, so things like that. Like I know lots of bands where there are not just one member, but several members have learned something else or many other things besides just their instrument. And so I think people are just playing they're playing the game at a higher level than they used to be. And so I think that's the main reason that you're starting to get these crazy albums is
Yeah, man.
uh there was this lull, I think, where uh when downloading first became a thing and things got really depressing, but people still couldn't record themselves or lower the cost to where you still had this super high cost of recording and no way out of it. However, labels were lowering budgets
Mm,
because of downloading. So then that kind of put a weird vibe on the whole thing, and I think hurt records. But I think as we've moved away from that, as streaming became a thing, as technology became more accessible, it's and people have figured out how to work with these budgets. You're seeing kind of like a golden period for metal, I
sure.
think.
Yeah. I mean, I've been a producer
That's my
myself for
my take.
30 years, so it's like I come from electronic
Oh,
music.
nice, nice.
So yeah, but my act 601 would be going since 1994. Um, and I noticed, like, obviously I've been doing home recording and producing myself for since the 90s because electronic music was that way out, you know.
Yes.
But it's
Yep.
great to see that bands are now being able to do it because it really was. If you're an electronic music producer, you could do this from your bedroom. If you were in a band, now you've got to book some space, you know. So yes, I totally hear what you're saying there. Get sticking with Unstoppable Recording Machine. I understand it's become a hugely successful business in these years that you've been because you haven't like just been away from Daath twiddling your thumbs. You've been working on this amazing company you have, Unstoppable Recording Machine, and its sister school, Riff Hard, which is metal guitar tuition. Is that correct?
Yep. Hmm.
Do you have any kind of stories like that might inspire our readers who are learning music production or guitar, like some success stories from your schools that stick out in your head?
Buster Otoholm, from Humanity's Last Breath, or
Oh
Viljarda of
yeah.
Throne. I mean, he was one of our OG students. Um, so like that to me we're starting to see that a lot more,
Mm,
where uh it's not necessarily in uh or not only dudes like Buster who are well known, but you're seeing people throughout the entire recording industry who are like working underneath huge producers, or who are just URM people, are just there. And I've watched people uh go from complete novices, like literally knowing nothing, to moving to LA and becoming hugely successful. Like, for instance, a dude named Kevin McCombs was an original URM student from Jacksonville, Florida. He's like an extreme metal dude. He
hmm
had an extreme metal studio there, was doing all right for himself. Um, and we kind of connected him with this producer named Colin Britton, who does like lots of major label stuff,
hmm
like Papa Roach, like just way bigger stuff. And he Colin happened to be in Florida working with A Day to Remember, and
Oh
because
yeah,
we're
right.
we're tight with Andrew Wade and we've worked with A Day to Remember on Nail the Mix, like we connected the two, and Kevin passed the test. He kept getting invited back
Awesome.
on like this huge record to like intern on, but he didn't mess it up. He kept getting invited back, and then eventually Colin asked him to move to LA and
Right.
just work for him. And now they go between Nashville and LA together. It's been like 5 years now.
Wow.
And I mean, dude, I could talk for a long time about these stories. There's several of them. So I have personally seen it happen lots of times. So I know that it's possible. I also know that it's never too late. So I've
Mm,
seen it. I've seen people who are like 35 and didn't know anything get
yeah.
started and then end up making it happen. So, you know, the only way to actually fail is to quit, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I always say, like, productions, the reason why I like production so much is I could keep doing this until the day I die because, like, nobody cares what the producer looks like. I can look as old as you like, you know? But it must fill you with so much pride these success stories, you know, these students and these flames that you've nurtured there going out into the world and like making names for themselves. It must be tremendous, really rewarding for you.
It
So,
is. It really is. And I mean, the reason we started it was because of what I was talking about earlier, that weird time period in the music industry and the metal industry, like in the years following downloading, where things were
mm,
getting really, really dark. It I don't know. We all do what we can to
yeah,
contribute, but it just seemed to me like somebody needed to step up and help right that ship, because producers were also starting to get very, very irate and like burned out of dealing with bands who had no budgets, but then
yeah,
would want to record themselves and would record DI guitars and do like horrific jobs. And
yeah,
it was just
yeah,
miserable all around. And
yeah,
so it just seemed to me like someone needs to step forward and do it. So
yeah.
why
Yeah,
not
someone needs
us?
to tell people that like a waveform that's just a big block of black is not where you want to be. So,
Yeah, exactly.
um, Deceivers is the album title. It's a continuation of a theme that began with 2007's Hinderers, continued with the Concealers. Is there an overarching story behind these records? Is there a narrative that's going along with these titles? Is it like a concept?
Um, Not really. Not like a when you think of a concept album where
Mm,
there's like someone sits down and writes a story or
mm,
something. Nothing like that. It's just there we look at where we're at and kind of try to sum it up, basically. So, coming back to the band, uh, we had a lot of baggage to unload
hmm
about lots of different things. Lots of different things involving, people that we felt betrayed or tried to get in our way or held us back or whatnot. Or, sometimes that anger is self-directed, is like
Sure.
we got it in our own way.
Mm.
And on a personal level, I don't just mean on a band level,
Yes,
but
of course.
it just was like something that we had on our minds a
Mm,
lot, was like those types of topics. And so it organically made sense. Like, because I think that concept album or not, having like some sort of a through line
mm.
is important.
Yeah. Definitely, definitely. And also, like you say, coming back to a band after you've had that hiatus, having experienced something very similar to it myself, I think it's you've got to be friends first and foremost before you go back into it, and you've got to be doing it for, yeah, you've got to be making music for yourself first that
Yep,
makes you happy, you know, instead of just thinking, oh,
absolutely.
what sells right now? No, no, no. What sells right now will be you if you make music for yourself, as Rick Rubin once said.
I agree with that, because you can never predict. It's like a fool's errand to try and predict what the
Mm,
public is going to resonate with. Like, you have no control over that, and no one can predict it. Like,
mm,
there's some producers who or artists who just, I think it's more just luck of the draw that they happen to be in tune with the masses
mm.
over a long period of time, not just like once. I mean,
Yeah,
it's amazing enough to do it once, but that once, even doing it once, is more than most people or artists will ever do. But
absolutely.
those who do it repeatedly over a long period of time, that's just that like that's not normal.
Mm.
And I do think that it's not, of course they worked really hard, but the luck of the draw is that their hard work and their inspiration happened to be in line with what resonated with the masses at that point in time. And you
Absolutely.
have no control over that whatsoever. So you better be doing it for the right reasons, because
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah,
It's time and time again. Bands talk to me about, how do we make it big? I say, well, nobody makes it big for a start. If you're paying the bills, you're doing well. Uh,
oh yeah,
You
Doing
know what I mean?
great.
But
I
make
mean,
music makes you happy. That then your the success is making yourself happy with your music, I believe.
yeah, I agree. The making a big thing is not up to you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's if the world decides, like
Mm,
there's no like campaign or amount of money that can
no.
buy success in music. Contrary to popular belief, like you can
Mm,
buy ad campaigns, you can buy spots on shows, but you cannot buy people's opinions.
yeah,
You can't buy the tastes of the audience. Like they're
yeah.
either going to like it or they're not. I mean, you can do what you can to present what you've got to more people, but at the end of the day, we've all seen plenty of artists who had a huge push that fell flat on their faces, or
Oh yeah.
movies that had a massive budget that
Mm,
just failed because the audience didn't want it. You can't
yeah.
control that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we touched on it earlier. Was it? I think I read that it was lockdown that prompted you to pick up the guitar again and sort of start writing again. Is that correct?
Not exactly. It was in that time period.
Mm,
So basically, I got really into fitness in like 2019 after
mm,
being super unhealthy and lifting weights a lot and running a lot. And I injured myself in 2021.
mm.
So still kind of pandemic times and was just laid out. Like I
Right.
couldn't move. If my back, my lower
Mm,
back really badly. And so I was just on the couch and um anyone who works out a lot knows that when you stop doing that,
mm.
like the demons come back.
Yeah, right.
And for me, that was a big way to fight off lots of demons. So like it was a mental health thing and a
Yeah,
physical health thing. It was really, really important to me. So like I was noticing all like demons are coming back, depressions coming back, like I want to kill myself again. Like this is
mm,
not good. I need to do something with all this extra nervous energy.
sure.
Why don't I pick up the guitar?
Absolutely.
And here we are.
Well, there you
Because
go. We were
I'm a
talking about,
psychopath and can't do anything casually,
yeah,
or for fun.
yeah, you're right.
That this is where it ended up so far.
Well, yeah, we were talking about making music again for the right reasons. That sounds like a hell of a right reason to be doing it, just for your own personal health, for your own personal
Yep.
enjoyment, and progression as well, massively. So, once this album hits the public, and I can't wait for it to do so because it sounds giant. Is there touring plans, festival plans, that kind of thing?
Not set in stone, but we're planning on it. We have worldwide booking, and we're working on offers right now. So
Awesome,
there
awesome.
will be.
That sounds great. That sounds great. So, is there anyone you want to shout out before we sign off here? Is there any bands that you've checked out recently that you think, hey, people should know about this lot?
Zenith Passage.
Oh, nice one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Zenith Passage is um one of the best technical death metal bands I've heard in a long time. Like
Hmm.
for me, I heard Necrophagist, and then nothing kind of came close for till I
Hmm.
heard Arcspire,
Hmm.
and then I kind of like there's a lot of sick bands, but the first one since Arcspire that I was like, okay,
Hmm.
here we go, has been Zenith Passage.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, that's
That's
who.
a good answer, man. I got their album sent through, and I loved it. I think I'm all in for that mega tech. You know, it's fabulous stuff.
But it's the thing about tech, man, is I feel like the best bands in tech were always really good writers. Like, and so I think tech gets a bad rap because there's a lot of bands that aren't good writers who do it and are just doing it for the wrong reasons,
Right.
which is just showing off.
Hmm.
But these great bands like Necrophagist or Arcspire or Zenith Passage, they write really great music. It just
Sure.
happens to be insane,
Hmm.
but but the technicality doesn't take away from how good it is.
Absolutely. I've had this conversation with bands before. It's just like the song is your boss, right? You serve the song. Does the song need it? Well, then do it then. Does it
Yep,
not need it? Then don't do it.
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to Sleep Makes Waves the other week, and they were telling me they've worked with a producer, Bruce Springsteen's producer. And it's really simple phrase that he used, but it just made so much sense to me, which is that if everything's heavy, nothing is heavy, which is like basic principles of
Yep,
production right there, isn't it? Make room for everything, light and shade, all that sort of stuff.
I agree. I agree completely. If you don't have contrast, the brain can't perceive anything really.
Yeah. So there you go, grindcore bands. Right. Right. On that note, I want to thank you very much for being with us today. It's absolute privilege and an honor to speak to you. Loving the record. So that's out very soon. The Deceivers on Metal Blade, of course, your new label. You're with Metal
Hmm.
Blade now.
Yep.
Before we go, yeah, how's that turning out? How does it feel to be on Metal Blade? Has this relationship allowed you more freedom to make an
Yes.
album as big as this?
In a nutshell, yes. It's the label we always wanted to be on, and
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
great.
the originals, man.
Yeah,
The ones who discovered Metallica, and what can I say?
yeah, they're great. They're great, and I've worked with them for a long time, so I already knew that they were great. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's
man.
been fantastic.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today, and best of luck with everything in the future. Thank you very much, man.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much. Have a great one.
Yeah, you too, buddy. All right, see you now.